Hello, friend. What's really neat about technology is I get to, when I'm offering guidance to one person, I can say record it, share it with them like such, and also share it with the entire community so that everybody can have the opportunity to receive that what they're ready for. In this episode, I'm intending to speak directly to someone who's experiencing a health challenge. But now what's important is, as in Course in Miracles would say, don't make anything special. So whether it's our health, whether it's our finances, whether it's our careers, whether it's our relationships, whether it's abundance, apply this to everything. Okay? So, my friend is actually that I'm making this for is actually a spouse of somebody who I communicate with regularly. I don't really speak to this person who this recording is being made for, but instead just for their spouse to share it with them, if inspired, in order to raise some ideas for them to contemplate and examine so that they can, and as well, apply so that they can see how they can influence their own experience. And what's important is when somebody's first coming into these ideas, if you don't already understand how this stuff works, you're certainly coming from an awareness that is resistant because it's lacking this understanding. The understanding hasn't been gained yet through seeking, through practice, through examination, through introspection. So understand that when I'm working with somebody who's very new to this, their skepticism and resistance is almost expected. But it's not a concern for me because the truth doesn't change based on their ability to be ready for it or not. So I just maintain the same message. And what's important about them having this skepticism is conveying what they are skeptical about. What are the reasons that they're doubting? What are the reasons that they don't yet believe these things? So that I can address them, and also so that I can present ideas for them to examine in their own experience so that they gain the understanding. This isn't about me being an authority figure to anybody. This is about applying these absolute truths and seeing their fruit. So I just happen to be maybe a vessel in this moment that information's coming through, but it's never about this guy or this person. The emphasis is intended to be on the message so that we may use it. Spirituality, true spirituality, the way that I hold it, is intended to be practical, meaning applicable. We can use it. It's not meant to be just a belief system that we hope for. Those can be helpful at times too. But practical spirituality is us putting it into action, applying it. So when we're experiencing illness, the first thing, when we understand how the law of creation works, some people call this a law of attraction. Spirit gives it to me as law of creation. If you think a sad thought, you create sadness. So if you think a sad thought, you experience sadness right after. If you think a happy thought, you experience happiness right after. You never think a sad thought and create happiness, and you never think a happy thought and create sadness. This is the perfection of creation. And this is meant to be examined, not just listened to, but look at your own experience. And notice when you're happy, that happiness was preceded by a thought of happiness. That's where it came from. And when you're sad, that sadness was preceded by a thought of sadness. That's what created the sadness. That's what created the emotion of sadness. But it doesn't just work with happiness and sadness. It works with success. It works with failure. It works with abundance. It works with poverty. It works with wellness. And it works with illness. It works with everything. So it's important to spend time to examine our mind, to notice that the thoughts we think are preceding the emotions that we're creating. And consider our health as being an extension, a more dense manifestation of the thoughts that we are thinking. And notice when we have an illness, that we have a mind that aligns with it. We have a mind that believes it. We have a mind that tells other people that this is my issue. You know, I've got a problem. I've got an illness. Sometimes we don't know what it is and we just say, I don't feel well. You know what I mean? And when we sit in that and mentalize it, have you ever heard the story where somebody pretends to be sick to stay home from school and by the end of the day they feel sick? Because in their mind they were pretending, bam, manifestation. And it's accumulative, meaning you think one sick thought and it doesn't make a dent in wellness. But if you maintain thoughts of illness, now all of a sudden you're tipping the scale and every thought has an energy and it's expressing itself. And if you continue to think consistent manners of thought, you're building that energy, that subtle energy, into a more dense expression, into a more dense expression, into a more dense expression, into a more physical expression. So it goes from an emotion all the way to a physical expression. So if you don't believe this works, examine your own mind and notice how you have belief systems that support this illness. You have reasons for why you should be ill. You have diagnosis telling you that you have this illness. And you believe it. You're not challenging it. Notice how you're not challenging it. Notice how you're not replacing it with thoughts of wellness. You're not building mental momentum in the mind to say, I feel so good. I feel so good. You're not doing positive affirmations and really building that energy up of well-being, of wellness. But instead, you're affirming the illness in your mind. And what is the feeling when you are affirming this illness? Is it low vibration? Is it fear? Is it frustration? Is it hopelessness? Is it I can't get better? That's what you're projecting. And notice what's manifesting. Notice that the physical is showing you the perfect manifestation of what's going on in your mind about it. How do I know this? Because this is the law of creation. It's undeniable. Once you know this, you kind of understand everybody else better than they understand themselves if they don't understand this truth. Because you can see what people are doing to themselves. Listen to the words they're choosing. Look at the thoughts. Sometimes they're not always expressing themselves vocally. They might be suppressing it. But all they have to do is think the thought. It's the consciousness is the activator. So if you think that thought in mind, even silently, you're activating that feeling. You're activating that emotion. You're activating that energy, the thought energy. So what Spirit's reminding me of right now is the process of negate and replace. So when you have a negative thought or a thought of illness that's affirming your illness, you negate it as soon as you become aware that that's what you're doing, and you replace it with the feeling. Step into the feeling. Pretend if you have to. Step into the feeling of wellness. Visualize all of the cells in your body smiling at you, happy that you're giving them this attention and that you're commanding them to be well, and they're responding to them. Visualize that in your imagination. Notice how your energy changes. You go from a state of kind of doubt and hopelessness to, oh, something different is happening here. It's lighter. It's more expanded. Maintain it and you'll see By maintain it, I mean continue to have that thought over and over again. See if you can't do it for a minute. See if you can't do it for 2 minutes. And just notice how the energy in your body changes so quickly from what you were feeling in doubt to that of starting to get a little bit of conviction and a little bit of curiosity, and maybe even a little bit of faith and trust that shift is happening. That's where we want to go. So what you may not understand is when you first begin doing affirmations to change a state, this initial state that you're trying to change is a program. It's been a program that's been installed in your mind. And anything that you say contrary to it is going to be met with resistance because it's saying, no, I'm the program. This is truth. This is what I believe in. Look at my experience. But all you have to do is start saying the affirmations to change it, and the affirmations of wellness become more and more believable, more and more acceptable over time, and that other program starts to loosen its grip and eventually becomes replaced. So long as you maintain this diligent mindset of negating and replacing. The reason I was kind of smirking and laughing there was my phone just said 1111, just as I was doing that phrase. Maintain that. And don't just do it with your health, do it with everything, because it might be your career that's really drawing you down. It might be finances that really are drawing you down. Any low vibration, if we stay in a low vibration state about one thing, it pulls us down in all these other states too. You know what I mean? Because that's where we're sitting. Where we're sitting mentally all day is what's determining where we're going, what we're creating, what we're bringing towards us. So if you sit in low vibration, anger, frustration, doubt, depression all day long, you're going to notice a lacking expression in all of the areas of your life. The finances, the career, the relationships, your happiness, your health, all these types of things. You'll notice it's a pull down, it's a drain. But when you do it right, when you align with the divine mind and you stand in your power, now you're replenishing yourself rather than depleting yourself. You've been the one doing it to yourself the whole time. That may be a hard truth to hear, but when you get this and you understand it, when you understand a sad thought creates sadness, a happy thought creates happiness, and we can change our thought. If we have a sad thought, we can actually change our thought to happiness, build momentum, and experience happiness where on default we would have been experiencing sadness. We just did it. And we're always doing it. There's no room for a victim mindset in this. It doesn't help us. Isn't it the most beautiful thing? Wouldn't it be the most beautiful thing if your creator gave you the capacity to determine your experience by the thoughts that you think? 1313, my phone just validated. Now understand, we give all these attributes to God, right? We think God's capable of all these things. But our consciousness, our mind, is that divine spark. That is the peace of God that is in us. That is that particle, that divine particle. And that's what we're activating when we're using our mind deliberately. It can work for the opposite too. It can work for illness. We're that powerful. But we're also that unmindful in our culture a lot of times. That's what free will is. God doesn't say you can only come here and create love. God says you can create in a disconnected manner. You can create illness if you want to. That's not my will for you. But if you're not mindful, that's what you're going to do. I just checked in with Spirit, anything else? And Spirit's saying, so I'm assuming this message is to the person that I'm intending this message for. You've got nothing to lose by trying this. You've got nothing to lose. And literally, like, your ultimate expansion to gain. This could be the turning point for your entire life, right now. This could be the turning point for your entire life right now, if you would only negate every negative thought that you have and replace it with thoughts of betterment and a feeling of betterment and visualize that betterment. Now understand, you don't have to be perfect in the mind. You can tolerate the odd resistant thought, the odd egoistic, carnal-minded, negative thought. Consider your thoughts like they're on a scale. And wherever, every thought you think is like adding a penny to the side of the scale. So if you think a negative thought, it adds a penny to the negative side of the scale. If you have a positive thought, it adds a positive penny to that side of the scale. And whichever thoughts you think the most is where you're tipping the scale. So you can tolerate some negativity as long as the majority of your mindful expression is positive. That's the direction you're going. That's the direction you're going. If you think happy thoughts all day, how are you going to feel at the end of the day? Sad? Depressed? Not a chance, right? You'll feel happy. And if you think sad thoughts all day, how are you going to feel at the end of the day? Sad. There's no chaos in creation. There's no chaos in creation. Show me a sad thought, and I'll show you a person who's been thinking sad thoughts. Sorry. Show me... I'm going to restate that because I feel like I misspoke it. Show me a sad person, and I'll show you a person who's been thinking sad thoughts, right? Show me a successful person, and I'll show you a person who's been thinking successful thoughts. That's applicable all the way around. There's no exception. Creation is perfect. Start applying the attributes that you understand to be godly, the omnipresent, the omniscient, all of these attributes to your own conscious mind. And that's, as best you can apply it, that's the closest understanding to truth that you'll ever gain about it. You know, notice how the carnal mind kind of bucks it. Oh, I'm not God, and is resistant and all. It doesn't serve us. When we do that, we make ourselves small and we deny our power. God gave us this power. We are this power. God is our true Father. You know, God is the Father of our consciousness, and we're an extension of that. And we can use this. When Jesus said, "You speak to a mountain and that mountain moves," he didn't say only he can do that. And another thing is, and Spirit's reminding me of this, every time Jesus healed somebody in the Bible, he didn't ask them what issue they had, how they got it, how long they've been that. He asked, "Do you believe I can heal you?" So what he was saying was, can you change your mind to align with the divine? And that's exactly what I'm promoting. Align your mind with the divine. As I have been saying more recently, and maybe there's a better way to say it, but prove me wrong. Prove God wrong. Prove Jesus wrong. Show me that this doesn't work for you. Show me that you're special. Special in the respect that the law of creation doesn't apply. So special that the law of creation doesn't apply to you. All right? And the reason that I put that kind of out there like that is because this is an absolute truth. It doesn't bend to preference and bias. By trying to prove me wrong and God wrong and Jesus wrong, all you'll do is prove us right. Now, this is an important piece to add and consider. If we think happy thoughts all day long, and that creates happiness, and at the end of the day we're happy because we thought happy thoughts all day long, what was the determining factor that caused that happiness? Examine, was it anything, possibly anything, other than the thoughts we were thinking? Notice how undeniable it is that our thoughts were responsible for how we end up feeling. Undeniable. Really grasp this. Really receive it. Really understand That the thinking of the happy thoughts all day long is what created the happiness, that state of happiness. And we could do the same with sadness. We could do the same with abundance. We could do the same with wellness. And we can do the same with illness. It's undeniable. So I'm just trying to really emphasize this, to understand that the piece behind it, all of our creation and all of our manifestation, is the thoughts we are thinking. Are we thinking thoughts of wellness all day long? Or are we affirming illness all day long? All right, so I'll close this episode there. Love you, my friends. Best of luck. You can do this. I know you can do this if you do it. Talk soon. If you found any value in this episode, please consider sharing it with your circle. If you're interested in receiving some guidance, you can contact me at aswithinsoul@gmail.com. If you're inspired to offer a donation, you can also use the email aswithinsoul@gmail.com.